Today, Hyundai is a top 3 global automaker. It operates in 193 countries, selling millions of vehicles and maintaining a footprint that touches nearly every corner of the modern economy. But back in 1915, the man who built this empire had nothing. Chung was born into a poor Korean farming family with no capital, no connections, and no formal education. For Chung, youth was defined by 17-hour workdays. He spent his time herding animals and chopping wood just to ensure his family could afford 2 meals a day. He lacked every traditional pillar of business success, and early on, his attempts to break out were met with a string of disasters so consistent they seemed like a curse. So how does a runaway peasant from a starving village build one of the world's most valuable brands when the universe keeps destroying everything he touches? After escaping to Seoul, Chung worked his way from a construction laborer to a delivery boy at a rice store. He was so diligent that within a few years, the store's owner handed him the keys, and at age 22, he became the shop's proprietor. As World War II intensified, the Japanese government seized all private rice shops for military rations. In an instant, Chung's first business was gone. He didn't stay down for long. In 1940, he took out a 3,000 won loan to open a car repair garage, a move that allowed him to finally start working with the machinery he found so fascinating. Within a month, the garage burned to the ground. Chung took out an even larger loan, rebuilt it, and grew the staff to 80 people, only for the government to confiscate it again to merge it into a wartime steel plant. By the time he was forced back to his village, Chung had lost 2 businesses to government seizures and 1 to a fire. However, he had also managed to pay back every lender, proving he could manage a large crew and heavy debt even under the worst conditions. When the war ended and Korea was liberated in 1946, Chung returned to the city. He founded Hyundai Civil Industries, ready to finally build something permanent in the construction sector. Then, in 1950, the Korean War broke out. The fighting leveled the country's infrastructure once again, forcing Chung to abandon his office and flee the city with nothing but his savings. He realized the incoming U.S. military forces had an immediate, desperate need for warehouses, tents, and headquarters. Chung quickly organized a crew to fulfill these military contracts, finishing jobs under impossible deadlines. This work earned him the high-level trust of officials. When the war ended and the government began the massive project of rebuilding the nation's expressways and dams, they turned to the man who had already proven he could deliver infrastructure in a war zone. By pivoting quickly toward the needs of a national crisis, Chung transformed into the primary force responsible for rebuilding South Korea's physical backbone. In 1967, new government rules pushed Chung into the auto industry. He partnered with Ford to assemble their Cortina model, hoping to learn the trade from an established global giant. The partnership was a disaster. The Cortina wasn't built for Korea's rough roads and frequently broke, and then a massive, completely submerged Hyundai's assembly plant, ruining their inventory. Ford eventually walked away, leaving Hyundai with a ruined factory and no partner. At this point, giants like Volkswagen and GM also rejected Chung's proposals for a new joint venture. Left with no other option, Chung secured a technology deal with Mitsubishi and hired a team of British engineers to do what everyone said was impossible: build an original car from scratch. In 1975, they released the Pony, South Korea's first mass-produced domestic car. Losing Ford stripped away Hyundai's safety net. Without a partner to provide the technology, the company was forced to either develop its own engineering and design capabilities from scratch or face total collapse. With the Pony a success, Chung made a move that confused the entire industry. This chart shows the gap. South Korea's market demand was 30,000 cars, yet Chung ordered 300,000. By creating 10 times more cars than his country could buy, he forced Hyundai to expand into foreign markets to survive. To enter the U.S. market in 1986, they targeted used car buyers by offering the brand-new Hyundai Excel at a used car price point. The strategy worked, selling over 170,000 units in the first year alone. Throughout the 90s, the company invested heavily in R&D to shed its budget image. They launched high-quality, feature-rich models like the Sonata, transforming from a cheap alternative into a world-class competitor. The fires, the wars, and the floods were all very real, and they nearly cost Chung everything. But his legacy proves that while you cannot control the disasters that hit you, you can choose to use every failure as the catalyst to build something even more resilient than before.